Hello, I'm Coach Lance Meyer of GRAS Ministries, a partner ministry with the City for God. And today we're going to be doing a process video. We're working on some Black history this month, and so we're going to be working with, you can see that there, that gentleman there that some of you may recognize. So we're going to work on that. So I'm going to flip my cameras around here. It'll take me just a second. I'm going to get it set up so you can see my palette, and we'll go from there, okay? Alrighty. I think that'll work there, huh? Hopefully it doesn't fall. All right. So I've got, slide these over so you can see for just a second here. I've got about 5 brushes that I'm using, and you can get by with less, but I'm going to use this mop brush here. That one's, holds lots of water. I'm going to use a 1-inch flat brush. Love this brush. This is a 10 round, and so you need to dab that out here a little bit. Always good to have multiple things of water, dirty, kind of medium, and hopefully that one's clean. And I use these little towels here to kind of dab things off. Then I've got a small flat brush, probably about a 1/4 inch. And then the rigger. And that one is used for all the little small details. So we're going to jump right in here and slide this back over. I do have a couple other brushes handy if we happen to need them. What I'm just going to start with here is just grabbing this area here and get that wet. But one of the things I like to do actually is to start without a paintbrush. So I'm going to start with some of my mixed paints, and this is how we kind of really get some pretty pictures. Watercolor allows us to really allow that water and color to kind of mix. So I usually start with yellows. Today I'm actually going to start with kind of a mauve color, a little bit of a violet. Okay, so here we go. See, it's in a little squirt bottle, and I just simply take that and squirt it. You notice I have a little cutout here. It's going to end up being a little more green up there, and I will grab a little bit of that yellow too. I'm going to bring him all the way down here. I keep him handy. This is a yellow. It's actually a Nougat Rouge. Anytime you get purple and yellow together, you get some cool effects. Obviously, it's complementary colors. Now, you always have to be careful with this one because this will dominate a picture. But orange, I'm going to grab a little orange here, which I'm kind of getting a little bit over here anyway, but I'm just going to dab that one more hit down here. Really get a pretty orange. And now, as I said, I'm going to actually come back with that purple one more time. Right in there. I'm going to grab a dark blue. This one's kind of fun. This is a Prussian blue. That'll really darken it up a little bit. So I'm going to put that especially up here. And I'm going to throw that up on the top up there, which will give me almost a little purpley blue. So you kind of got this mix of colors all the way through here, right? And they'll kind of mix, and it's a great way to start a painting. It gets you nice and loose to start with. It allows those colors just to kind of move. I'm setting the tone for it. I'm actually going to hit this down here too. There we go. Just looking at that, how I like that, and what we got going up there. You know, I said it, I'm going to come back with a little more of this purple. Mauve, I should say. Yeah, so I can mix that right there. That'll be nice. That's good. Looking for one of my greens over here. Got moved around a little bit on me. I don't want just straight green. Yeah, here's one that's kind of a blue. This is actually a turquoise. And I'm going to throw that up on top up here. Ooh, look at that, very pretty. I'm going to throw a little bit down there. And maybe even a little bit right there. There we go. Okay, now, keep that there. Now, this is going to be a little tricky, but I'm going to actually cut the hair back out of this. So I'm going to recut a little bit so I can get that hair, because I want to spray that hair too without getting on the face to start with. And I'm going to concentrate on getting that kind of a little bit of a purple, or I'm sorry, a little bit more of a green color. It'll end up being kind of bluish, but browns. But I think to start with here, I really want to try to get, I know I can't see that line very well, but I'm thinking it's running right up about in there. And if it's not quite right, I'll leave that right there. Let's see here how close that is. This has got to go back there. I think that's going to be about right, actually. Okay. That'll work. Throw that right there. Kind of a cool cut out there, huh? Alright, something like that. And got these blues up there, which I love. And now I'm going to actually hit kind of a yellow in there. Let's see what I got here. Maybe a brownish yellow. Let's see what I got. A little ochre. Now, this is a little bit brown or yellow. It's called Quin Burnt Orange. Just going to throw that in there a little bit. Spray bottles sometimes like to get a little, and even if I can't get a lot of this, I'll just get at least a little bit in there. Want to come back to a little bit. I'm going to grab that new Gamboge again. There we go. Okay, now I got a little bit of yellow. That's what I want, because I want to turn that green. Now, I'm not going to spray green on there. I'm going to use one of these blues. This one is Antwerp blue. This will kind of dominate a little bit, but if it mixes with the yellow, it should get a little bit of a greeny color. I'm going to hold it a little farther away. Just going to spritz that on there a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I didn't want to do that. I kind of like that little spritzy. I'm not necessarily going to get this all perfect right now. Okay, I'm going to get a little more yellow. Okay, unless it's pretty late right now. Okay, keep that like that is. I may have to dap that a little bit before it gets too crazy down here. I want this kind of hair color in there, that texture of hair a little bit. If I can keep that, that would be great. Let's see if we can do it or not. I kind of got to think about this a little bit. I do have some browns over here, don't I? Now what I'm going to try is throw just a little purple in there. Well, if I get that to work. You know what might have to do is let that dry a little bit. Ooh, I like that colors in there though. And what's going on? Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is just let that hair, it'll end up being a little darker, but I kind of like that effect a little bit. We're kind of getting mud here. We don't necessarily want that, but it's in the hair. It's not the worst thing. Actually, you know what? I was going to dap that. Just going to dap it a little bit. Take a little water off there. There we go. There we're kind of getting that effect of hair. It's kind of a healthy balance here. It's going to have to be darker though, so I can't really mess with that too much. Okay, let's leave the hair for right now, which now some of that might be dripping into the face, and that's okay. I'm going to have to decide if I want to dap it or not. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of getting the effect I want there. I'm going to set him over there. He may be useful again. Bring some of this up here a little bit. Just kind of finger paint a little bit here. I like that pretty color. That's why I like this color here. So I'm kind of, what I'm hoping is if that's kind of the edge, let me just look at this. Yeah, this is going to come down here a little bit more. Ooh, I got some pretty colors there. What I'm hoping is the less I have to come back over the top of this, the more, like these, see those little colors kind of working in there, the less I have to come back into that, the more it's just gonna be better. I'm just gonna try to get a couple of those hair effects in there. We'll see what happens. I know I'm gonna have to come back darker, but anything I can get a little blessed on to start with here is gonna be good. I don't like this little, even though that's not the worst spot for that dark to be, I'm just gonna dab that a little bit. Here's what I do like is it's not just one, you know, I could have just put brown in there, right? But this makes it kind of interesting up in there. And so I know I'm going to have to come back to that, but I think I want that to dry at least a little bit more, but we may come back to that in a little bit. Okay, we got some stuff going on I see down here that isn't a huge problem, but I got to adapt this a little bit. We do have to keep this chin. And one of the bad things that kind of happen is this orange, as I said, that orange can really get dominant. That's going to be tough to get off, and it kind of is a light area. So that potentially is a problem. But we're going to just dap it a little bit and see if we can lighten it up a little bit there. We're getting it lighter. Yeah, that should end up being okay. Okay. Now, normally what I'd like to do, or what I want to do, is actually put in, you know, spray this some more up here, right? And just kind of get these, all kind of a flesh tone going in here. I'm not going to do that because I kind of need this to dry up here and kind of see what happens with the hair. Let this kind of dry a little bit. One thing that might help a little bit is if I do pull out the handy dandy, you know, it's a good thing I got one of these for my, you know, I got to have this for my hair, obviously, but all right, here we go. We're going to fire that up a little bit. Be careful not to blow up the whole studio. Okay. I'm not overly worried about these couple spots that are a little dark or a little wet yet. I'm going to step the so we don't get any blooms back into the picture. Now, here's what I love. Look at this color right in here. Huh? Isn't that beautiful? I got some little spots there. I don't know if I'm all that concerned about it. I'll dap it out a little bit. Okay, yeah, there we go. Pretty colors in here. Love what this is doing there. And we've got this, okay, his hair is in there. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit darker. But I kind of like some of the stuff going on in there. So we're going to leave that at that for now. I'm actually going to re-dap again to see if I can keep that hair effect a little bit. Okay, let's leave that for now. Now, what I'm going to do is come back and give the features on here, and then I will kind of get flesh tones going, okay? So that's how that's going. I see I got to come back a little tighter with some of this, but that should be fine. Let's jump right in here. I'm going to start getting some of these dark features, so you'll be able to see that right away, because at the end of the day, that's going to be I do what's called portraits with pizzazz, and so we've done a lot of little pizzazzy things, right? Now I got to come back and make sure I hit some of those details, okay, or the painting will get lost in there. All right, so here we go. I'm going to grab, this will be the first time I use a brush. A lot of times you want to work with the bigger brushes first. I am going to jump in because I'm doing some of these details with the handy dandy 10. This is a great brush right here. It's kind of synthetic sable, I guess, but so it has the feelings of a very, very expensive brush. It holds water pretty well, but it was about $10, so great buy. Got it up in Door County, and I was looking for this kind of brush, and it's not been the easiest to find. So, all right, we're dapping the water, starting with some clean water here, and I am going to grab. We definitely, actually, one thing I need to do is spray my paints to get them activated. So I just use a little spritz water to get these activated. Okay, here we go. Let's jump in. I do want to get, I got a little permanent rose over here. I'm going to grab that. A little alizarin crimson. That's a little duller. I like that perm rose. We're going to grab that a little bit. It's almost a little pinky to it. And right now I'm working pretty straight that color, and I'll either push that toward a yellow or I'll push it more toward the blue for the darks. Okay, so yellow to lighten it up a little bit, make it more flesh tony, and then the blues will get it. A little more of a darker purple. All right, here we go. So I got my color mixed up on my palette. See if you can see that right there. See if I can slide this camera over just so you can see my palette a little better. There you go. So I've got this kind of reddish pinky color. That's permanent rose, and I did throw a little alizarin crimson in there too. Okay, now a lot of times we want to wet this area. When we're doing detail stuff, though, I usually want to work wet brush to dry paper. Okay, wet brush to dry paper. Here we go. I'm going to start, these lips just kind of grab me here, so I'm going to just jump right into those. Move it like that. Now, dark lips. It's always darker a little bit on the top. So, and I'm going to just keep this little white area right there. Separate that a little bit. Tend to kind of grab just a little more blue on the top. So I'm not too much. Just a little bit of the darker up on the top there, just to darken that a little bit. And toward the bottom there, it'll be a little darker. So let me try that again. There we go. Just gonna grab that. So the bottom of the upper lip will be just a little darker. Now, I may have just a little too much water on my brush here. That's the whole name of the art game, is figuring out how much in watercolor, how much water to use. Okay, I'm gonna bring that right there. And now on the bottom lip, you'll notice is pretty light. So I'm gonna, actually I should use this. We're gonna want to keep that pretty clean. I kind of have a towel all the way around so I can just brush this off. That works really well. Learned that from my mother. All right, so now my brush is, I want this a little lighter, so I'm going to grab up on the top of my palette here. It's a little lighter pink, and I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. I'm going to try to keep a little bit of that white in there. In fact, I might just keep it pure white right there. I'm not going to, I'm just going to keep that like that for right now. Can always come back. Then below it, we have some dark again, so I'm going to grab the red, throw a little blue into it. I'm using a little cobalt blue over here. Make that a little more violety purpley. Okay, and that's going below. Start right here, kind of below. Bring that right to the edge, I think, right? Yeah, we'll bring that right to the edge. Right there. And now I'll kind of cover up that orange, but I'll be able to keep it a little bit. Now we've got that lip, okay. This is where it's kind of a healthy balance of, usually want to work a little wet on wet here, but I need to keep the integrity of those spots, so I'm going to keep that just like that. I'm noticing this might be a little darker. I'm just going to throw a little more of my violet in there, and then I'm just going to kind of let that dry. I may have to go over the top of it later. I love this. Actually, now I said this, I really do like that orange right next to purple. That's always a really good thing. Yeah, now I do have to decide. I love this color, so I'm a little bit hesitant to darken that, but that means I need to have, you know, this line needs to show up. So normally I wouldn't want to do this, but I'm going to actually bring this blue purple down just a little bit so we can see this chin line here. But I'm going to keep the orange. There we go. And then we've got this light that kind of starts about right here. And I've kind of darkened that a little bit, so I may have to make some adjustments as we go here. And it might just be me bringing this down. I don't like doing it that way, but I love these colors, so I don't want to change that. I'm just going to bring this down. I can always decide to go darker in the background or darker on the chin if we need to, but I do need to somehow show that edge. That's a key to the picture here, so we have to be able to see that edge. Sometimes you can have that just get lost, but we need to see that line or it'll get lost. Now we are working below the chin. Now this is going to be pretty dark, okay? So here I'm going to actually work a little more of the alizarin crimson. You can see that's a little more of a kind of maroonish color. And then I'm going to grab, instead of cobalt, which tends to be a little bit lighter, I'm going to grab ultramarine, French ultramarine blue. Now I got a deep purple in there. Ooh, I like that. Hit that one more time with the red. So I'm going to keep pushing that back and forth between red and, but this, if you look at your value in here, you know, it's pretty dark coming from the ear down. Now, again, normally I'd want to have this a little wetter, and I guess I'm debating right now whether to do that or not. I'm going to just dry brush it for now so we have that in there, and then come back and put these other features in. I'm just going to kind of grab from this ear. I'm just going to look at that. Yeah, it kind of comes up this way and then works its way down. I gotta have this chin line, so I'm gonna grab that. I gotta just be careful to leave a little light. Okay, right in there. It's gonna be a little light, and then it kind of comes down toward my, there we go. I'm gonna go there. Just kind of push this up. Probably end up going back over this a little bit, but I want to get that dark in here, and that's gonna come all the way. Yep, it's coming all the way to here. This is all one solid dark. That's all dark. Okay, now we got our line. Got our chin line. I like it. I'm keeping a little light in there. I'm still going to play with that a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now we got to hit these other darks. I want to have that chin line. I know I'm not hitting all the darks here, but maybe I'll... Actually, let's do this. We'll just quickly just kind of get a brush up here, so this is all dark in here. It's maybe not quite as dark as that spot, but I'm just going to kind of get a color in here just so it's going to end up being a little darker, but we've got a value back in there a little bit, and I reshape my ear. Okay, that's good for now. Okay. Now, one thing I don't like is you're kind of setting these lines. They should kind of just flow a little bit more, and that would happen if I was doing wet on wet. Although I do like, you know, just kind of that value and some of the colors, and so we got some good things going here. All right, now, so we need to put in those other values here. I'm gonna just grab this. So again, it's alizarin crimson, and it can be any red and blue, to be honest, guys. I'm just sharing what I'm using here, but there we go. We got a nice dark purple. Hit that one more. Ooh, there we go. Okay, now I need to hit this. I'll start up there, right? Good solid dark. It's kind of a triangle shape. Pull that here. Now I'm using two colors that will fade a little bit. They look pretty dark right now, but as I put other colors on them, they may fade, but it gives me a good... I do like to use ultramarine because it will, it's transparent. In other words, you can see through it, even though it's pretty dark. And it'll granulate a little bit. And so, especially when I'm starting, if I make a mistake, I can still fix it. I guess would be a good way of saying it. But yeah, we got a nice dark working through there. We've got a nice dark, and here's where I got it. I think my drawing's just slightly off. Here's a little trick I learned up in Door County. I've got this little rod here, and it's got a little golf ball at the end of it that I taped up. So I use that. You just kind of set it on your paper here. And this allows my hand to kind of rest above the painting, and yet I can work that brush. And right now, I didn't talk about this earlier, but you know, if I'm doing details, I move my hand a little bit closer to the end of the brush. If I'm really just kind of trying to be real loose, then I really like to work with the hand way out here, okay? But now I'm working some important details, so I'm going to get it more like a pencil a little bit. All right, grab that color. And I don't like the way I did the drawing here. For some reason, I'm just not quite. I'm going to bring this way a little bit. Got to concentrate here now. That's got to come that way, and it's right above the eye. And it's all dark, but it comes down just right there. Yep, and this kind of runs into that one. There's no white. It's white above, but that's all good. Now, actually, I'm going to bring this dark down too, but I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow. I'm going to grab a nickel yellow over here. I'm going to stick that right there. You know, see how, I don't know if you can see that, it pushes the color away a little bit. So I need to grab that. Okay, I do have a dark in front of the eye here too, but it's got a little more yellow in it. So I'm doing that right there. And then it kind of pushes its way back up toward this thing. There's no white there. Okay, that's pretty good. I got a real dark there. It actually kind of comes up here a little bit. We'll kind of play with that a little more later. Okay, now coming back to my darks, I got a little ultramarine blue. Gonna throw some alizarin crimson in there. I get a nice purpley color. Anytime I could get a little purple or violet on my paintings, they tend to be grab your eyes a little bit, for lack of a better word. This can get a little dull, so which isn't the worst thing where I'm doing these dark, so that's okay. I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna end up darkening it later, but I'm just gonna get this in there. So the eye. Okay, we got a nice, and I want to look where I'm leaving a little white in the eye, so I'm gonna leave even a little bigger than maybe it's showing. I can always darken it later. So I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to leave a little more white in there because I can always darken that. I like that because it's got a little brown tint to it even though it's blue. But the alizarin looks nice. I'm going to just bring this now back this way. I'm going to leave a little white, but not too much. There's a little bit of white, which is different. You wouldn't normally have that, but below the eye, normally you're not going to have a little white there, but in this case we do. I'm going to leave it for now. I can always darken it later. There's a little triangle here. I'm going to bring that up, kind of up to the eye. And I'm just going to leave it for now, okay? That's a real key part of the painting, though, okay? So that's why I'm really concentrating on that part. You really got to make sure you get that right, or your painting won't, you know, or you can do all this pizzazz stuff and it won't matter because you don't have, you know, the painting itself won't have the integrity of likeness, we call that, right? Okay, just get these last couple darks in here. So we've got a dark right in here. You can always change color a little bit. When I'm using this, the one nice thing with using the ultramarine blue, and you know, I'm not 100 on alizarin crimson. You know how staining that is, but I know I can always dap off the even the dark blue. I can get off if I need to, if I've made a little mistake or need to change value a little bit. Okay, but we have this. This comes all the way there. I'm gonna grab a little more blue in this guy. Actually, alizarin crimson is probably what I want, because I want to keep life in there a little bit, not just dull it out. So a little red rather than all blue is probably good. I'm going to darken that in pretty good. It'll probably lighten a little bit when I put other colors on here. Okay, now I know there are some more darks around that, but I'm actually going to leave that pretty much the way it is for now, and then I can always darken that later. Let me just look here if I've got, yeah, I got that line. I've got this line here, right, coming cheekbone. Kind of coming down here. I'm just going to get that in there. That's a little darker than I want, but it'll lighten when I put other colors on it, so it'll be all right. And you do need to see that line, so we're okay there. Okay, I think for right now, I've got the key darks in there, so I'm just going to kind of leave that as is. I know there's another dark in here, but I'll get that later. Obviously, we have darks in the other face. I guess the other spot we could hit quickly is the ear. So let's go up to the ear here. We've got a dark rolling up in here. Kind of comes down that way. And then we've got the real dark. So that was a little bit redder dark. Now I'm going to grab that straight blue, or a little more blue. That's going to be real dark, and that's going right here. And it's going to wrap around a little bit. It kind of subtly comes to it, but not quite touch it. Got that shape. And let me check my music again here. Alright. Alright, that looks good. Now, one thing I'll notice is that this dark right here is pretty dominating. I don't know if we necessarily want it quite that dominating, so I'm just going to dap that a little bit. Now, I think it's not going to dap real well, so I think it's going to stay pretty dark, but I should be able to, when I add more colors to it, I might be able to get that a little lighter. Okay, that could be a problem, but I think I'll be able to kind of play around with that and figure it out a little bit. All right, now let's just do an overall quick check here. Do we got kind of our darks in there for the most part? Yeah, obviously the hair is going to get a little darker. I tell you what, though, I kind of like what's going on up there in the multiple colors. Now, one thing that happened over here, because I didn't dap this enough, is the colors kind of went back into the painting a little bit. Again, that's not going to be a problem because I got hair there, and well, it's going to end up being a little darker anyway. Yeah, the only thing, yeah, you can see this line that is very dark right now, but when I spritz this a little bit or mix some colors, I think I actually might not spritz it. I think I'm gonna use a wet on wet technique for that. That'll kind of dull it out a little bit. So, all right, you can kind of see what's going on there, and let's get to it. So, set this down. We're gonna grab this big wet brush right here, big mop. I mentioned the other mop brush I have. I just happen to have two of them handy, so this one had some water in it, so I'm just going to grab that. Now what I'm going to do is just wet these areas. And I'm going to have to decide what I'm going to do with that hair, if I'm going to spritz that or not. I'd like to spritz it again. And maybe I'll even do that. Okay, so this is just pure water. And I'm going to throw that in there. There's a couple ways I could have done this. I could just spritz this. In other words, spray those spray bottles again, and that might not be a bad idea, but it feels like this one needs just a little more control in the face. I don't know. Notice some of those colors are mixing already a little bit and kind of dulling up. I should dull this out a little bit, so let me do that. Oh, look at that. Yeah, because there's a staining color in there, and it might even be the yellow that made that mixed with the dark blue. I'm not sure which. I got a color that's real staining there, which I'm not real happy about, but such is life. We'll figure it out here or we won't. Alright, so just wetting this whole area. I do like that color right there. I think what I'm going to do is spritz the hair again a little bit. And then kind of see what runs into the face. I can always dab that. Yeah, this is just a little bit. I'm not real happy with that. Let me just dab that out a little bit. It's dominating right now because I don't have any color on the rest of it. It may not be quite that dominating once I get done, but okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try spritzing again up in the hair. Some of that will run into the face a little bit, and we've got some darks in the face over here anyway, so that's not the worst thing. It's probably a matter of me figuring out what colors we're going to use back up in there. So I think we'll try what we did last time, and we'll grab a little bit of this yellow. Just try to get a little. The nice thing with this yellow is, in fact, I'm going to throw that right into the face too. There we go. I'm going to purposely leave a little lighter toward the, I like that. Okay, that's good. It's a good example where yellow is the color you want to throw in there. And then, now I'm going to grab some blues. I'm going to try a different. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I'm going to start with a little light blue. Just kind of spritz that in there a little bit. Should give me a little green back here. Okay. Not dark enough, obviously. I always have the option of going to that real dark blue. I'm trying to avoid that here for a second. Get there, but I'm gonna try. I'll just throw a little purple in here again. Yeah, that's giving me a nice effect right there. That's what I want. So that's kind of creating this hair. If I can get that to stay, even when it's wet on wet, that's what I want. I need to rejuice my purple a little bit. I like this though. You get some good effects again in there. My plan is to make that hair kind of dark, but I don't know, I kind of like what's going on there. Alright, we're going to try this again. I'm going to spray from a little bit farther away here so I can get it up there. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we got it. Okay, now we got our darks. Okay, now we have to check here. Is that going to be okay over here? Actually, it's probably okay there. I need to keep this light. I'm just going to dap it a little bit. It's okay to have a little green in there. Dap this off a little bit. I feel like I'm going to end up going into the hair one more time, but that's okay. One thing I got to do is make sure my ear doesn't lose its quality of light in there, so I'm going to pull that, and I'm going to pull a little bit above it here. I'm just kind of going to draw with my paper towel a little bit. So I've got the ear. I do have, now that blue that I'm using there, that's what the stain, that's a staining blue. So you got to be a little careful with that. I'm just going to again try to get this hair effect if I can a little bit. Okay. I'm anticipating I'm going to have to go back into this hair again a little bit, but let me see if I can get that hair effect a little bit. There you go. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to go into the hair again, but let's leave that for now. And now we're working on this face here, and we're getting some cool effects here, actually. I'll grab this down here because it's kind of wet, and well, that's not the worst thing. We gotta be careful with that blue there. It's a little staining. That line's gonna be a little bit darker yet. Okay, I just gotta look at this face though and just see. I didn't want to do that. I gotta dab that. Happy mistake here. Okay, grab that right there. Okay, now you'll notice this I don't like because it's so, I've got this line that now I've created that I don't really like, but you do it. I mean, it's not a bad place for that line, obviously, but okay, we got to think about this a little bit. All right, we got our yellows, and I'm going to hit that yellow one more time over here. So it's turning green up there. That's okay. Just going to kind of hit my yellow. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's what I want. I'm going to keep it off the white for the most part. It can be a little bit on there, but it's not a pure white, but okay. That's pretty good. All right, we're going to give it a shot here. I got a little bit of a pinky color. It's called opera pink. And we're going to throw a little bit of that in there. And that is going to make this a little bit orangey. But I'm just going to kind of work it back here and see what happens. There we go. Oh, I like that. Yeah, now we're cooking. Trying to keep that up there. I kind of like the way that is. I'm gonna just hit that a little bit on the nose. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, one of the problems we're having is the water. I'm throwing a little too much water in there. So I need to dab that a little bit. Grab a piece of paper towel over here. Okay. Looks like a problem. We're just going to dab that right out. No problem at all. I kind of like what that's doing, so I hate to lose that. But I'm going to have to dab that a little bit. Kind of like what this is doing here, but... Okay. We're getting some really cool effects. We said we got to keep a little bit of a light here, so I'm going to dap that a little bit. There's that light. This needs to run. I'm going to finger paint this back up into the purple a little bit because that does need to be dark. And we're just losing a little bit of that color there. Okay, that's good. You see, because I said that right away. Now I do have this line. It's not the worst thing, but I like to have that. I don't like solid line there. It should kind of blend a little bit. We can go darker in here yet when we hit the hair. I'm going to dap this again a little bit. As I thought, I'm going to still need to go back into this hair. I do have to be careful on this guy here. Let's kind of dap that back out a little bit. On this side, kind of got a real greeny color right now. That's okay because I will paint that. I'll get that back with a little red or orange. I need to make sure this is... Just going to finger paint that a little bit. There's a little light white right there I'm going to keep. Alright, I see one little problem here is there's a little white. Well, actually it does come up. And then the eyes right there. So actually that might be okay. I want to keep that real light. I like what that's doing. I kind of like what these colors are doing. Other than this line right there, I kind of like what's going on. We can still go a little darker, but let me just think about that. I know what we're going to do. We're going to go back to that violet one more time, and I'm going to throw that kind of all the way up through here a little bit. Because it's actually, yeah, that color is kind of in this whole thing. So we're actually going to check one more thing. This has got to come down. There's a little light, yep, dark up to there. I'll shoot that right into the nose area. And then there's a little white below. I'm going to dap that. There's a little white right there. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. So, I'm not going to get real close to it. I'm going to try to shoot this kind of purpley color all the way up through the face a little bit. Up into the hair. There we go. This needs to get darker. Oh, I like that already. Keeping some of those greens. But there we go. Okay. That is going to be just fine. And then I've got this. I got to be really careful with this one because this can be pretty overpowering, this turquoise. But I think if I hit the turquoise up into the hair a little bit, and then the one thing I'm going to have to be careful with is this. I'm going to dap that ear a little bit. That's a little light, but I'm going to need to keep the integrity of that ear a little bit. Okay, so I got to get some oranges back in there, but all right. I'm going to turquoise it up here. Some of that may run kind of down in here, and that'll be okay. So let's go. I got to be careful here. We're going to go bam right there, right there. Boom, yes, this is going to be good. We're bringing that down. And let's bring it right across here. Boom, right into the face a little bit. Got to be really careful with that. Right there, boom, and right there, boom. Okay. Now we got to be careful here. Not let this run away from us, but we're going to do that. We're going to take this back up into the... We're going to take this back up into the hair a little bit. That's what we want. We want this dark right up in there. I got to keep the ear a little bit. Just going to kind of run this up there a little bit. Run it up there. Let's run it that way. Even if it runs off the paper. Ooh, I like that. Got some cool effects there. We got this feeling of movement up there. We've got these colors in there. Now I'm going to actually bring that back down. We want to get this flow kind of this way a little bit. Without taking, we got to keep these lights in there, but it's okay if they come down here a little bit. Those darks, I mean. Yep, I'm just going to kind of let that run right down the face here a little bit. If I do it that way, I think we'll get that. So I'm trying to create that cheekbone with those darks a little bit. This is just kind of a, can you get a little lucky here, really is what it comes down to. Alright, we're going to pull that color back up. We are getting some cool effects here, I will say that. Again, my line is just so dominating there, but I think maybe with a paintbrush I can get it. Now I gotta make sure I keep my, there we go, integrity of the head. I love how we're getting a little bit of that light above there. That's nice. Tap this down there, tap that a little bit. So I always kind of just have a paper towel kind of ready here to dap a little bit. Any other, yeah, I need to dap the nose a little bit. Need to dap up into this a little bit. There we go. Any other lights? Yeah, there's a light right here. Let's pull that way a little bit. And then that chin area, we talked about that earlier. Keeping that a little light. Ooh, I like that. Look at how that's just like, boom, light coming into his face. Okay, that's going there. Boom, boom, right there. I'm going to come back into the nose, yeah, obviously, because that's a little dark. Let me even dap that some more. It's probably not going to come off. And then I got to re-dap this ear. Here's the one that's getting away from me. Okay. That's going to be interesting. Okay, we're going to come back in there. It's easier to add the dark. I'm actually over light there, but okay. I think just trying to get that dark in up there. Yeah, that's good. let's bring it down. Up and around the ear, that looks great. I'm going to end up over here. I'm going to have to get some more dark in behind it, but I love what that's doing, so I'm just going to leave that there. I kind of like what that's doing. I just got to make sure it just doesn't run into there. Keep that. I'll keep that dark. Okay, here's what we got to do. I like what's going on. We're going to take the hairdryer and dry this up. Okay, let me, just because we're already at, yeah, it's pretty long painting already. So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm just going to share with you what I'm going to do to finish this up. Get that color there. Okay, what I'm going to do is let this has got to dry, okay? And it kind of needs to be a little more of a thorough dry. I'm just trying to see that color. I'm just trying to bring that right to the edge of where the hairline would be and then bring it back up. Ooh, that's nice. Just really got a nice effect there, so that's good news. Okay, gotta be careful there, and then we'll just bring it right back. Ooh, I'm getting some nice stuff here, guys. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so we've got some problems yet that we'll have to solve. But if you look, I'm going to bring it up to you a little bit more. We've got a really nice feel, that light coming into the picture. We've got some nice colors in the background here. I've kept the ear a little bit. What this is going to take is me letting it dry. Okay, it's going to have to dry, and then I'm going to come back with dry brush and put some strokes in there to get the integrity. I think at this point I'm going to stop the video because, but what I will do come next, because I've got such nice, look at these pretty colors in through here, and we've got some good things going here, I'll say that, as long as it's wet. So I'm going to play with this just a little bit, and then I'm going to let it set. I'll probably dry it, and then I'll come back into it with a dry brush and kind of finish up those details. But you can see we already have a nice start to a painting here, mostly without using a brush, huh? All right. Hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to the completed process. It's going to turn out nice.